Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. In an alternate universe, we would have already played The Last of Us Part 2 back in February. That dream was shattered as the game was delayed to May shortly after the release date was actually revealed. Unfortunately, yet again we are left waiting for the game to finally release as it has been delayed once more. Naughty Dog's sequel to the incredible post-apocalyptic The Last of Us was set to reach players on May 29th, but due to the thing that must not be named on YouTube, it has been delayed indefinitely. In a statement posted to Twitter, Sony announced, Sony Interactive Entertainment has made the difficult decision to delay The Last of Us Part 2 and Marvel's Iron Man VR until further notice. Logistically, the global crisis is preventing us from providing the launch experience our players deserve. In an attempt to somewhat appease fans, Sony shared some new screenshots of the game, but it hasn't done much to quell the disappointment. Immediately after Sony's post, Naughty Dog shared its own statement on the matter and cited the same logistical issues, but also assured fans that the game's development is nearly finished and is just going through final bug fixes. Many fans have expressed their disappointment in the announcement, with one guy even suggesting that this whole situation is part of a wider conspiracy by Sony to mislead fans only to release the game on the PS5. After Kotaku's recent reports of crunch culture at Naughty Dog, many are speculating that this decision is in response to that. However, Jason Schreier himself, the man behind this scathing article, has spoken to developers that confirm the reason is purely logistical. The Last of Us 2 was on track for May, multiple devs say. The primary reason for the delay is the challenge of printing, shipping, and selling physical games right now. Going remote has not stopped those working on the game, such as QA, from crunching. Hopefully this delay helps. The logistical issue is multifaceted, but all of it comes down to the ongoing pandemic. Producing physical game discs is problematic right now because much of the production would be done in China, but those jobs have been hit hard by the virus. Even if manufacturing the discs could go ahead as planned, shipping them to stores would prove difficult because distribution is greatly suffering, as we saw with Final Fantasy VII Remake earlier this week. And then, even if distribution wasn't impacted, many retailers, including game shops, are closed or operating at minimal levels, meaning that fewer people would actually be able to buy the game. And then, many people are currently self-isolating, meaning that fewer gamers will be heading out to pick up their physical copies. Now, many of you may be thinking, why not just release it digitally? That would solve the production and distribution problem immediately and wouldn't require people to risk exposure. However, while the physical retail market is dying and flagging behind digital sales, physical unit sales are still massively important to a game's sales numbers, especially on consoles, and still make up a significant portion that Sony is unwilling to lose. And then there's the fundamental fact that many people do not have adequate internet speeds to download a full game like that, especially since Sony is throttling download speeds at the moment. The influx of thousands of additional players coming to download who would have otherwise bought a physical copy would cripple the system. Abandoning the physical release will also upset fans who still cling on to physical media like the last chicken nugget at a buffet, but more important than hurt feelings are the people whose jobs are actually affected. Companies which would sell the game on their shelves who have contractual deals with Sony will suffer, and so will their employees. People who work in manufacturing, like those making the actual game discs, or people in distribution who get the discs to where they need to go will suffer and may even be out of work. Being at risk of exposure and then losing your job is much worse than having to wait a little longer for a video game. To me, this seems like a sensible decision, and a delayed game is always a better game. Not necessarily a good game, but definitely better. Some are criticizing Sony for this being just a money-based decision, and to that I say, well, yes, obviously. In my mind, this has nothing to do with greed, and it's just about Sony making the most money from its product. That's just business. It's not predatory, it's not manipulative, it's not exploitative. The game isn't being changed to make more money. Sony is just minimizing its loss in revenue caused by the Foster's fever. The user experience will still be the same, if not better, when the game eventually launches, who knows when. The gamer loses nothing except a little patience by waiting through the delay, while Sony can ensure a return on investment. Sony doesn't just make games for fun, it's a business, and that means money. While this delay is disappointing, I have no problem with it because it means everyone can play at the same time and Sony won't be losing out. After all, more money earned means more money can then be pumped back in. I don't know, maybe I'm just talking out of my arse more than usual here, so let me know what you think down below. Even after the bad news about The Last of Us 2, there's still more negativity that we've got to go through. According to a Kotaku report, Borderlands 3 developers are being denied their full bonuses despite the game being a roaring success. The way it works for the folks over at Gearbox in Texas is that they earn a lower than industry standard pay rate, but this is offset by performance bonuses after a project is shipped. This is a share of the game's profit in the form of royalties. The more financially successful a game is, the bigger your bonus will be at the end of it all. The royalties are split 60-40, with 60% of the profits going back to the company and its owners, and 40% being shared amongst the developers themselves through quarterly bonuses. Several employees reportedly claim that management promised them 6-figure bonuses, with the amount paid rising in tandem with the length of time spent working for the company. This system has been effective in the past with hits like Borderlands Borderlands 2 from 2012, but it has also been a failure with major flops like 2013's Aliens Colonial Marines and 2016's Battleborn. Given how successful Borderlands 3 has been, and publisher 2K Games hasn't exactly been shy about it, saying that the game is now a billion-dollar global brand, the devs at Gearbox expected to get a decent pay packet. Unfortunately, that's not the case, as Gearbox CEO and semi-professional charlatan Randy Pitchford informed his staff on Tuesday morning. When probed for a response by Kotaku, Gearbox supplied your standard PR corporate spin response that I don't have the patience to sit through, so I'll leave it here on screen for you to read if you can stomach it. The reason for reduced bonuses is reportedly due to the game being more expensive than expected and unforeseen developmental issues. Borderlands 3 was originally being developed on Unreal Engine 3 before switching gears to Unreal 4 partway through development. This was a major setback which required a lot more development time and therefore money. The studio also had to expand to accommodate for the extended game development time to a second site in Quebec. Ultimately, the game sold incredibly well, but just cost too much money to make, and before any bonuses could be achieved, the game's entire budget had to be recouped first. The budget for just the game was around $95 million, and all downloadable content added a further $140 million to the mix. These things happen in game development all the time, but I have no doubt that the bonuses of those at the top will remain relatively unaffected. Now that's just conjecture, and I have no proof of that, but given how we've seen Randy Pitchford operate over the past few years, it wouldn't exactly be out of character. He has been the subject of countless scandals involving everything from Epic Games Store Twitter drama to feuds with actor Troy Baker to multiple full-on legal disputes. At the end of the day though, no matter who's at fault, whether it's Pitchford and Gearbox being dicks or foolishness on the part of the developers for signing such a volatile deal, it's still a shitty situation nonetheless. And finally, the Foster's Fever has caused multiple public events to be cancelled, but many of them have survived by going online. One such example is the BAFTA Game Awards, which went ahead last night through a live stream. Indie darling Outer Wilds by Mobius Digital, not to be confused with the Obsidian RPG The Outer Worlds, won Best Game, Game Design, and Original Property. The ceremony altogether was fairly light on AAA winners, with most awards going to indies like Disco Elysium, which earned developer ZAUM awards for debut game, music, and narrative. Observation, Untitled Goose Game, APAL, and Sayonara Wild Hearts won for British Game, Family Game, Audio Achievement, and Artistic Achievement respectively. In terms of AAA, Death Stranding won the award for Technical Achievement, in addition to Hideo Kojima himself earning the highly prestigious Fellowship Award, while Apex Legends scored the Best Multiplayer Award. Luigi's Mansion 3 nabbed Nintendo the Best Animation Award, and Remedy's Control earned Best Performer in a Supporting Role for Marty Strusalo's Ati, while Best Lead Performer went to Life is Strange 2's Gonzalo Martin, who played Sean Diaz. And that's your lot for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost, hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments, toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.